All right, Falcons fans, buckle up, because the battle for the NFC South is already heating up, and it's only OTAs. We're not just talking about Atlanta today. No, we've got our eyes on the entire NFC South, the Bucs, the Panthers, the Saints, because every single one of them is getting ready for WAR in 2025. And guess what? We'll be going head-to-head with all of them. Let's talk about the schedule real quick, and yeah, it's wild. Week 1, boom. It starts with the Bucs at home. Week 2, off to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Week 11, Panthers again, this time in our house. Week 12, it's New Orleans, enemy territory. Week 15, Thursday Night Football in Tampa. And Week 18, oh boy, it ends the only way it should, at home, against the Saints. Cancel your brunch plans. Don't schedule anything else. That finale is going to be personal. Because let's be honest, if you hate the Bucs, hate the Panthers, and hate the Saints, you're in the right place. We feel that hate deep right here. Every single one of those games is going to feel like a playoff battle, and we need to be ready. Now, let's start by checking in on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've had a pretty eventful few weeks, especially on defense. And yeah, the name you need to remember right now is Servosha Dennis. That's right. The second-year linebacker who barely played last season is suddenly turning heads at OTAs. According to Buccaneers insiders, this dude has been everywhere, picking off passes, making plays, disrupting drills. Head coach Todd Bowles even said he's had an amazing 4-day stretch. That might not sound like much, but in this stage of the offseason, it's a big deal. He only had 22 tackles and 1 sack last year, nothing flashy, but Tampa thinks he could be a breakout player in 2025. And with how tough their defense already is, that's something the Falcons need to pay attention to. Because when Week 1 comes around, Dennis might be a name we're hearing a lot more. But that's not all. Let's talk about Hassan Reddick, or as we should say, the guy who's not showing up. Reddick, who was traded from the Jets, has been nowhere to be found at these voluntary practices. And while it's technically optional, you have to wonder, is this a sign of trouble? We've seen this movie before. Reddick has been frustrated with contracts, sat out time with the Eagles and Jets, and even though he's had 3 straight seasons of double-digit sacks, his 2024 season was a disaster. Just 10 games, 14 total tackles, no sacks, nothing. Now the Bucs are hoping he shows up for mandatory minicamp. But let's be honest, would you be shocked if he just didn't? If he plays, he's dangerous. But if he stays off the field or brings drama, that could be great news for Atlanta. Falcons fans, I want to hear from you, right now in the comments. Which NFC South rival worries you the most in 2025? The Saints, the Bucs, or the Panthers? Or none of them? Rate your confidence in the Falcons this year on a scale from 1 to 10 and tell me why. Let's light up that comment section like it's game day. Rooster fire. Let's keep this heat rolling because the NFC South is not cooling down, and Tampa Bay, they might have just gotten scary on offense. Yeah, we talked defense, but now let's flip to the other side of the ball because the Buccaneers just made a huge move that could turn them into a scoring machine. They drafted wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, and if you don't know that name yet, you will. This dude is the real deal. He's fast, he's smooth, he's electric, and he's already turning heads at OTAs with clips all over social media showing off crazy footwork, elite route running, and zero wasted movement. He looks like a veteran, not a rookie. Now put him in the same room with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? Are you kidding me? If Evans is healthy, and remember, he played through pain all last year, and if Godwin is back to 100%, this might just be one of the best wide receiver trios in the entire NFL. That's not hype. That's reality. The Falcons' defense better be ready because the Bucs could be dangerous through the air this season, and we play them twice. But now let's switch gears to a team that's still trying to find its identity, the Carolina Panthers. And yeah, this next name might surprise you. Bryce Young. That's right. The same Bryce Young we all thought might be done last year. The same Bryce Young who looked completely overwhelmed and even got benched. But guess what? He's back. and he's coming for redemption. Word out of Panthers camp is that Young is locked in, sharper, stronger, and more focused than ever. His teammate Chuba Hubbard even said, "Adversity either makes or breaks you, and Bryce is built for it." Those are strong words, but it doesn't stop there. Hubbard says Bryce is in the facility late at night. He grinds, he studies, he leads, and even though everyone was ready to write him off, he's fighting to prove every single one of us wrong. Just look at how he finished last season: 73.5% completion, 251 yards, and 5 total touchdowns, including 2 on the ground, in just one game. That wasn't just luck. That was growth. That was a glimpse of what he could be in 2025. And honestly, if he keeps trending up, Carolina might not be as weak as people think, but it's not all good news for the Panthers. Tight end Tommy Tremble is dealing with a back injury and may miss training camp after surgery. That's a big blow, because when you've got a young quarterback trying to take the next step, you need reliable targets, especially over the middle. Losing Tremble even for a few weeks could slow down Bryce's rhythm and development. Now, Carolina did add some talent to help, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But make no mistake, any setback to a key weapon is one Atlanta should take advantage of. All right, Falcons fans, time to sound off. Who are you watching more closely this season? Bryce Young's redemption arc or the Bucs' dangerous new offense? Drop your take in the comments below and rate how worried you are about each team from 1 to 10. Be bold. Let's talk it out. Because the NFC South chess match is on rooster fire. Now listen. If you're trying to build up a young quarterback like Bryce Young, you need every weapon available. Every rep, every connection, every target matters, especially during OTAs and training camp. That's why losing tight end Tommy Tremble, even for a short time, is a real hit to Carolina's offense. Sure, his numbers weren't flashy last season: 23 catches, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he was becoming a reliable safety valve, someone Bryce could build chemistry with. And now that's gone, at least for the early part of the summer. That's one less lifeline for a quarterback trying to silence his critics and take the next step. But wait, there's someone new in town. The Panthers used the number 8th overall pick in the draft to grab Tetairoa McMillan. And this kid? He might be the spark Carolina's been missing. Big, fast, physical, and already making waves at practice. Reporters at Panthers camp are saying McMillan is getting involved early and often, being used both as a deep threat and a short route option. He's using his size to win matchups, and more importantly, he's quickly building trust with Bryce Young. Let's play a little what if, shall we? What if Bryce Young finally takes that leap in 2025? What if he becomes the player the Panthers drafted number 1 overall to be? And what if McMillan turns into the go-to target, not just this year, but for the next 10 years? You're looking at a possible franchise-changing duo. Imagine it, a Heisman-winning quarterback with something to prove, paired with a top 10 wideout who's already drawing attention. If they click, that's not just a nice story, that's a threat. For the NFC South, for the Falcons, for everyone. Now sure, the Panthers still have a mountain to climb. Let's not sugarcoat it. Their defense last season was historically bad, the worst in terms of points allowed in NFL history. That's a disaster. But at least now, they're pointing in the right direction. This team has miles to go before they're truly competitive. But make no mistake, if Bryce Young and McMillan grow together, that could be the beginning of something big. And that's one more reason why the Falcons can't take a single divisional game lightly in 2025. The South is changing, and we've got to stay one step ahead. Let's hear it, Falcons fans. Is Bryce Young and Tetairoa McMillan the next big QBWR duo, or are they all hype and no bite? Drop your take in the comments. Give this duo a rating from 1 to 10, 10 being the next Burrow and Chase, 1 being total busts. Let's go. Rooster fire. Now let's talk about the team we all love to hate, the New Orleans Saints. And oh boy, things are looking rough down there in the Bayou. Let's start with their so-called quarterback battle, if you can even call it that. Over in New Orleans, they're hyping up a competition between Tyler Show and Spencer Rattler. Yeah, you heard that right. Two guys that, let's be honest, would barely be quarterback 3 in most places, let alone starters. It's like watching two kids fight over a toy train, and neither of them knows how to drive it. Tyler Show is a 27-year-old rookie. Yes, rookie. And they drafted him expecting real competition? Then there's Spencer Rattler, who's been trying to prove himself since his Netflix debut back in high school. And yet, somehow, this is the Saints' big quarterback plan. Let's call it what it is, a disaster in the making. You want a bold take? This might be the worst quarterback room in the entire NFL, and the only real drama in New Orleans? Figuring out who's going to lose them fewer games. Now, to be fair, yes, I said it, they do have one weapon worth keeping an eye on. That's Chris Olave. He's staying in New Orleans, despite trade rumors linking him to teams like the Patriots and Steelers. And honestly, the guy can play. He's fast, he's slick with his routes, and when healthy, he's a threat. Let's not ignore the facts. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons before last year, and that was with subpar quarterbacks throwing him the ball. That's talent. That's production. That's real. Last season, he only had about 400 yards, but that's because he was battling concussions. If he stays healthy, he's the only thing keeping that offense from falling completely off the cliff. But even with Olave, the Saints still look like a team in freefall. It's the same old story. New Orleans is spinning its wheels, grasping at quarterback straws, and praying someone steps up. But let's be real, they won't. So here's my prediction. 3 wins. Maximum. And that's if everything breaks their way. Quarterback uncertainty, lack of direction, and a whole lot of desperation, that's a recipe for disaster. And for Falcons fans, that's music to our ears. Because Week 18, when Atlanta hosts New Orleans, that might just be the knockout punch to end their season. Call to action. What do you think is going to happen with the Saints? Who's starting at quarterback, Shoe or Rattler? Does it even matter? And will Chris Olave be enough to keep that team from crashing into the bottom of the NFC South? Drop your takes in the comments. Falcons fans, let's light it up. Rooster fire. Let's keep it real. The New Orleans Saints are a team barely hanging on. Outside of Chris Olave, who on that offense actually scares you, Alvin Kamara is still solid, but he's aging. That burst isn't what it used to be. And the rest of the skill positions? Forgettable. That wide receiver room without Olave? Weak. The tight ends? Not a threat. This is an offense that's going to have to pray its defense can carry them every single week just to stay competitive. And to be fair, the Saints do have some talent on defense. They brought in David Godchaux from New England. Cameron Jordan is still a force. Chase Young showed flashes, and they've got some young studs like Kool-Aid McKinstry and Alontae Taylor in the secondary. Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Reed are holding it down at safety. But here's the catch. In today's NFL, a pretty good defense isn't enough if your offense can't put points on the board. And the Saints? They'll be lucky to score 20 a game. So if you break it down, position by position, Atlanta beats New Orleans in just about every category. Better quarterback, better offensive line, better receivers, better running backs, and definitely better coaching energy. Maybe the Saints have the edge on the defensive line. That's it. Everywhere else? Advantage. Falcons. Atlanta. Falcons takeaways. Now let's talk about the team that's actually building something real. Your Atlanta Falcons. Let's start with the rookie quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. is gaining confidence fast. Coaches are loving what they're seeing. He's moving well, throwing sharp, and settling into the NFL speed. There's nothing more dangerous than a quarterback who knows he belongs. On defense, watch out for James Pierce Jr. The rookie edge rusher is already getting first-team reps and making plays. That's huge for Atlanta's pass rush. Now, one small note, Kyle Pitts is dealing with what's being called a foot issue. It's not a serious injury, but it's something to monitor. And yeah, we've seen his name pop up in some trade rumors. Still early, but keep your eyes on that one. And then, there's the Kirk Cousins mystery. Still not back on the field. Still no real updates. What's going to happen with Kirk? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. Who's winning the NFC South? So here's the question, and it's time to settle this. Who's taking the NFC South in 2025? Type it in the comments. ATL equals Falcons. TB equals Buccaneers. CAR equals Panthers. NO equals Saints. Let's hear it. Make your voice known. And if you can't stand the Saints, hit that comment section and let them know it. Falcons fans, this is our time.